Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, available wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, taped live at the twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. We're going to talk about NXT's Vengeance Day last night. And of course, a bunch more news about Cody and what WWE has planned for him. Real quick, want to mention patreon.com/Steve and Larson. It's a great way to support Going in Raw, Friendo Club, and we got all sorts of reward tiers over there. $5 gets you this show in the audio realm, ad-free, along with all of our bonus content and the weekly newsletter, the Kip Up. If you don't have time to keep up with all the news and matches and all the shows that's going on, that's why we got this weekly newsletter, the Kip Up. You can sit there, maybe dropping a deuce perhaps, and you can just look at it on your phone and look at all the wrestling news of the week, and you can be caught up. You can enter any conversation and know what you're talking about because of the Kip Up. So yeah, check it out. We got a bunch more stuff over there at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Tomorrow, of course, is Thursday. A new episode of our bonus show, The Numbers Don't Lie. If you haven't already,
vote, please.
Vote on The Numbers Don't Lie for Edge. Because we're doing that show tomorrow. You think you know him, you're definitely going to know what his Going in Raw math score is going to be tomorrow on The Numbers Don't Lie. So be sure to vote on this day. All right, anyways, man. So obviously yesterday, huge news. We're all still reeling from this stuff. What's the latest on what Cody Rhodes is going to be doing?
Yeah, so just to recap, Cody apparently has left AEW, potentially rejoining WWE during the latest edition of PW Torch VIP audio show. Wade Keller offered up his take on what kind of push Cody could be in store for in the Fed. In WWE, these transcripts are from WrestlingNews.co, is what Wade Keller had to say. Quote, I've been on the phone all morning, all afternoon, nonstop people in AEW. Texted people about the news on Cody Rhodes, which you've most likely heard about Cody gone from AEW and heading to WWE. Cody and WWE haven't confirmed it, but Cody is going to WWE, and he's going to get a big push. Vince McMahon is going to treat this as a big deal. Everybody I talk to thinks Vince loves the idea of acquiring a co-founder at EVP and, main event wrestler. He just held their secondary singles title not that long ago, and having him show up on WWE TV is something that Vince is very interested in taking advantage of and making money on it. It could even be a situation where Cody is in a major match at WrestleMania. I wouldn't be shocked if there is some augmentation to the booking plans for WrestleMania, perhaps related to the Elimination Chamber, in order to set the stage for Cody to do something really big at WrestleMania.
Cody and Brandy versus Miz and Maurice. Wade's kind of all over the map here, isn't he? Like, it sort of runs the gamut of what
there's more. Do. Yeah, this is the kind of like the succinct version of
what
what he was talking about. But yeah, there's a lot of, it's like basically all the possibilities are mentioned at least. But like, you would think if Cody is going to WWE, that Vince would realize this is a buzzworthy thing. Yeah. And to capitalize on that buzz, take advantage with some sort of major storyline leading into WrestleMania. That would just make sense. That's kind of like promoter 101.
Yeah, you want it to be a big deal. You got some bright new shiny toy. You want to show it off. You want to feature it prominently, and then in about 6 months, you can just forget about it. It's funny because you and I talked pretty extensively yesterday on yesterday's show about what we think his ceiling could be in WWE, the various levels, and it all sort of fits into this stuff here. Like you could, if he can hop a plane between now and Saturday, of course, he could show up at Elimination Chamber. He could show up as early as that. He's not going to be inserted into. Let's not get crazy. He's not going to be inserted into Roman versus Brock.
No,
he's not going to be winning the Universal title. Certainly.
No.
Now, would this cause Vince to maybe pivot away from title versus title? It's a possibility. That's a possibility. But I kind of still feel like Cody's not a Brock level guy, and Brock's the top guy on Raw, and it's going to be the title versus title at WrestleMania because they've said the phrase title versus title so many times already.
And then, also you got to deal with, if Brock isn't winning the title at Elimination Chamber, you got to deal with him getting pinned in his last 2 matches leading up to a major WrestleMania main event. That ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Now, if they want to find some creative way to try to write Brock out of the match, even that I have a hard time believing
without making him look weak. How are they going to, besides, his plane didn't take off or something like that.
A huge advertised match at a show they're getting paid a ton of money for.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. He's going to be the match. He is going to win that match.
He's going to win that match. Yeah, absolutely. Unless they get unless like a door malfunction or something and he just gets disqualified. I don't know. But it's any scenario you're right, Brock Lesnar losing in would be stupid in the Elimination Chamber. Unless literally all 5 other men like just completely
they all hit their finish and they all pile on top of him.
Right. But again, you're still dealing with like 2 losses. So that's not going to happen. So Cody's not going to be doing that stuff. But we talked about this yesterday. In fact, we broke it down. I took that section where we talk exclusively about what WWE could do with Cody, and I put it on our new channel, Friendo Club TV. So if you just want that 1 15-minute chunk, it's right there. A quick plug also on Wrestle Juice today. I sort of took the same approach. I power ranked like the different levels of where Cody could end up in WWE, and yeah, he sort of lands on Raw with Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, guys that he has maybe a little bit of history with going back to when he left WWE, but now that he's a much bigger deal. It's fresh matchups. It's fresh dream matches, I guess, if you want to call them.
Yeah.
And that's sort of going to be the deal. I mean, look, regardless, any match that Cody does at WrestleMania is going to be a big deal because Cody's in it. So, I mean, just putting him on the card is going to be a big deal. Now, is that big deal going to be him versus Miz? It's still a big deal because it's Cody. Is it going to be Cody versus Orton? It's still a big deal because it's Cody.
Yeah, but from there, it's his follow through. Now, if he's putting a match at WrestleMania and they book it like a huge deal, then it's a deal. But at the same time, if there's no follow through on that buzz, then he's just going to kind of fall back into the upper mid card and just be another maybe main eventer on Raw. It's all about follow through, having that huge Mania match and then going from there to something that's interesting and compelling for him. And if you don't do that, then it's just going to be, all right, he's just another guy in the upper mid card,
Okay, but let me ask you this, though. Where do you draw the line? Hey, the Sweets just rated us. So what's up, Sweets? Great to see you guys here. Where do you draw the line between just another guy and what he ideally would be, which is not just another guy? Because do you consider him
winning the WWE title in his first year there?
So you think anything less than that, he's just another guy? Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be just another guy then. By that definition, I kind of feel like I think realistically, this probably was going to end up being just another guy. But I mean, I don't know. Kevin Owens seems happy as under that.
I'm not saying being just another upper mid card guy is a bad spot. It's a good spot. You can make a ton of money. Do good by your family, support your family, especially if Cody's looking for one last huge payday, then more power to him.
Well, he's still, I don't know if it's going to be
He's 37, but granted, it's on Rose the Top, so grain of salt. He was already talking about his body feeling all beat up and wanting to retire then. But I don't want to use the term just another upper mid card guy like in a negative sense. That's a good spot to be in WWE because you're making good money. You're constantly involved. But if his goal in WWE's aim is to make him a main eventer, then he needs to win that WWE title within this first year there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that if that's their goal. I don't know, man. It's funny because he's got to be on Raw. Though. I think it'd be awesome if he went to SmackDown and tried to make something out of that dismal IC title they have right now.
Yeah,
because SmackDown is so weird because on SmackDown either you're facing Roman Reigns and losing basically, but still it's a prominent position. Well, if you're not doing that
it could be a prominent position while you're doing it. What happens afterwards is another thing entirely.
SmackDown doesn't have an upper mid card.
No, they don't.
They don't. It's the main event, and then it's the Loke. It's like Roman and it's Charlotte, and right now I think that Sonya and Naomi is their upper mid card. Mm-hmm. And then it's it's doing nothing. It's feuding, which is a great spot for Zayn.
Yeah, because right now Johnny Knoxville is a mid card wrestler in WWE.
He is. He's there with Boogs and Sheamus
and
Ridge Holland and Nakamura. And it's like, but they're not, those guys are not where like the Owens and the Rollins and the Ortons and the Riddles are over on Raw. It's just interesting how there's such a different dynamic because they don't do anything with that Intercontinental Championship.
There's Roman and then there's Drew. Drew McIntyre is like right now kind of the lone, Big E. They're the two names, if you want to say upper mid-card wrestlers.
Buddy, Big E is not an upper mid-card wrestler anymore. He is a tag team wrestler.
Should be.
Let's be real. Drew McIntyre. I agree with you on Drew McIntyre, but he's in a weird limbo with Happy Corbin.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they got something. That storyline is to keep Drew involved and on TV till after Mania when he'll start his feud with Roman probably.
We gotta. Hey, we really need to like have our. We need to have like a memorial service for Big E's. For Big E's singles run.
Hey, that
shit is not coming back.
I'm not giving up. Well, I don't think it's coming back in terms of title wins anytime soon. I wouldn't be surprised sometime in the summer after SummerSlam if he's in a program.
Are you tapping out? Are you tapping out? You tapping out?
If he's in a program with Roman, which Roman will, inevitably come out on top of. I wouldn't be surprised about
that. So look, I want this to happen. I want it to happen. But I'll bet you $20, 20 solid bucks, real United States American money, that he does not face Roman Reigns over the next, certainly between now and SummerSlam.
How about this? You owe me 2 Mountain Mike's pizzas.
Yeah.
We'll double or nothing that.
Man, I'm not going to be in the hole to you for 4 Mountain Mike's pizzas. Because that's a lot. That's like $200, right? Those things are expensive.
They are expensive.
Separate bet from that. $20 between now and SummerSlam. Big
no, I'm not saying between now and SummerSlam. I'm saying after SummerSlam. It could be a
okay
between now and the end of the year. Now and the end of the year. Over the course of the next year.
Between now and December 31st?
Yeah.
A solo program with Roman Reigns. A solo program.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
$20?
$20.
All right, we're on.
I'm good for that. I'm good for that. All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, Factor. You know, Larson.
What's that?
Much like the mighty grizzly bear, winter is the time where Steve stays in a lot. But unfortunately for me, it's not to hibernate. As you know, I'm a busy man. I got stuff to do for Going In Raw. We got our new channel, Friendo Club TV. There's stuff to do for Wrestle Juice. I got a stream plus. I still have to watch all that wrestling every week. That doesn't leave much time for me to do a lot of cooking in the kitchen, but I have found a way to eat well without having to worry about meal planning or prep now that I've got Factor.
Yeah, Factor makes it easy to eat clean 24/7 with fresh, never frozen, pre-prepared meals that are so delicious you wouldn't believe they're actually good for you, and they're ready to eat in 2 minutes. Factor's chef-crafted recipes are also delivered directly to your door, so that means no grocery shopping, no meal prep, no cleanup, and no washing dishes. I can't stand washing dishes.
Factor's got a team of registered dietitians and expert chefs who work together to create delicious meals with nutritious ingredients. Plus, Factor's got variety. With more than 29 meal options each week, you'll never get bored.
Factor offers vegan and veggie meals, cold-pressed juices, smoothies, energy bites, extra protein keto meals, and a whole lot more to keep you fueled and focused all day long. You get everything you ever wanted when you're dealing with Factor.
That's right. So head to go.factor75.com/raw120 and use code RAW120 to get $120 off. That's code RAW120 at go.factor75.com/raw120 for $120 off. Wade Keller also relayed what he had heard about why Cody decided to leave AEW. Again, these transcripts come to you from WrestlingNews.co. He says, from what I'm told, Cody asked for more money than what Tony Khan was willing to spend. It's weird because if it was 9 months ago, Tony might have signed him for what Cody was asking for, or at least negotiated in good faith to a reasonable compromise. But Cody became a bit of a liability. Tony publicly would say, and he told me that, quote, Cody still drives numbers, so I'm okay. But that's not the biggest compliment. It's not like, oh, I love Cody and we're on the same page. I was just like, well, the undercurrent of what he said was, yeah, he's a headache and every segment is a car wreck, but he's still drawing numbers. So guess I'm okay with it for now. Like, that's how I read it. I kind of read between the lines on his choice of wording. I think the segment with Brandy 2 weeks ago did not help, didn't belong on TV. It was just a disaster. But there's been a lot going on with Cody. Pre-pandemic, Cody was at the forefront of production meetings and really involved. So Cody wanted to be, I think, more involved with being seen as sort of an equal to Tony. And it became clear over time this was Tony's company. And, the EVPs had their titles, and the Bucks and Kenny, by all accounts, are happy with their roles as EVPs, and they have some latitude. Kenny gets to work with the women, and the Bucks get to kind of do their thing with their friends and get to show off their ring style. Tony's pretty hands-on and open to their ideas about certain pockets in the company that they have. But I think Cody did desire to be something more substantial. Danielson and Punk changed that dynamic a bit, and I think Cody knew from experience if you're not the top paid guy, you're not going to get pushed like the top paid guy. You're not going to have that leverage when that comes with that. He was as much, if not more than anyone, the founder of this movement of AEW, and Brandy put out public statements on Twitter about this and said nice things. I have not heard that there was a big blow up or that there's a ton of hurt feelings with Cody and Tony, but obviously, it's business. But Cody wanted to be a superstar, and AEW signing big money contracts, especially with Danielson and Punk, changed the dynamic to a degree with Cody. And I'm not saying this wouldn't have happened if that didn't happen, but Cody knew and Tony knew that Cody became expendable. Before we move on to some comments from Justin Barrasso, Larson, this is exactly the question that we were sort of asking back when Punk was coming in, Danielson was coming in. Where would Cody find himself when names are coming in that are bigger than him, that are more over with the fans, that are more recognizable, and a guy who was once the top babyface in the company now finds himself third, fourth, fifth fiddle on the pecking order? You would think that he would have found a way to, if nothing else, maybe not on camera, behind the scenes, conglomerate some power, but evidently he just lost that altogether.
Yeah, it seems like more than anything, he seemingly, assuming what Keller says, has some accuracy to it. Granted, this is Keller's viewpoint on things, so, see it as such.
Sure.
Seemingly, rather than do that, as like the months went by, seemingly Cody isolated himself even further. And even back when we first started noticing that he was seemingly booking himself on an island creatively. He wasn't involved in anything with the rest of the members of the Elite. It just seemed like he carved out his own little piece of AEW to do his own thing. And seemingly, again, if there's any accuracy to any of this stuff Keller's saying, that was reflected backstage as well. Let's get to this part from Justin Barrasso, because it kind of a little bit dovetails here what Keller's saying. So Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso offered up some additional details on Cody's departure, stating that, quote, one key factor that led to his exit was losing all responsibilities involving booking. That is a role where Khan, who is the head of creative, has taken full reign. Originally, Rhodes was part of that process. As great as Dusty Rhodes was as a performer, his contributions as a booker are an integral part of his legacy. For Rhodes, AEW represented another chance to pay homage to his father as a booker, while also further cementing his own legacy. Losing that opportunity in AEW hurt Rhodes more than any loss he suffered in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, at least during that period of time, he had what appeared to be Cody Island. And then to seemingly even lose that, because once you run out of people that you're sort of bringing in, you can't really feud against QT Marshall the rest of your life. You can't feud against Anthony Ogogo the rest of your life. So you run out of people to feud with. He started getting out of Cody Island. He started wrestling Malachi Black. He started wrestling Andrade, and he's getting away from that. Then you kind of have to. Then I mean, if Tony Khan has everything else, then you're sort of. You find yourself
you're left
his
with not
whims,
much.
I guess.
You're left with not much.
Yeah.
And if I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I would imagine from his point of view that would be a sad situation. And then evidently there was like a Forbes article that came out that where basically Tony Khan was.
Oh yeah. The
billed and credited as the end all be all of AEW, the founder, the booker, head of creative, and it's like, yeah. I mean, I remember, it wasn't that long ago. It feels like whenever they'd go backstage and you'd see their version of the gorilla position, it was Tony and Cody, and then eventually, I guess at some point, like if my memory serves me correctly, you look back there and it's just Tony on the few occasions they would go backstage.
That one time Cody was there, I think he was just there because Malachi kicked him
in the head. Yeah. So I don't know. It's It's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Because it did really very much feel like it was Cody's. It honestly, it felt very much the way it was sort of described in the beginning. It felt like Cody was sort of the umbrella, and it's like Kenny had the women's division and the Young Bucks had obviously the tag division, and they just sort of split it up, and then that eventually turned into, well, you got a billionaire financing it, and this billionaire was doing pretty, and he's an analytics guy, so he probably brought a bunch of stuff to the table that like the other guys, I don't know if I was shown a bunch of like spreadsheets and shit, it's hard to argue against math and numbers, It's like, well, this is the stuff that draws the ratings, this is the direction we're going to go, and by the way, I'm paying your checks, so you got to do what I say.
Well, much has been made in the last few months about the structure or lack thereof in AEW. And, in the early days, especially when, everybody kind of was doing their own thing seemingly. I think Tony Khan's even talked about this, where early on, I think it was like after some bit early 2020, where he's talking about how like he didn't feel like the show essentially was what he wanted it to be because creative was all over the place because everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And so he kind of said, all right, I'm going to oversee all this now. A part of that, I assume, would be people who had individual booking power, whether that be for, large portions of the storyline or just their own stuff, lost a measure of that. Mm-hmm. And maybe in this case, Cody lost basically all of that.
Yeah. Save
for what he was able to carve out for himself. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, that's another conversation that's sort of interesting is, the creative nature of AEW. On one hand, you got WWE where, if honestly, it sort of seems in WWE, if you're a wrestler, you just sort of hope that whatever whim Vince McMahon has, you appeal to that.
Yeah.
In AEW, you better come up with something. And if you're not the kind to come up with something, you might be lost there too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know if there's a perfect situation because it's wrestling. We've been backstage at wrestling shows like what? Once, maybe twice, something like that.
Yeah. Nothing on the scale of AEW or WWE.
God, no. So I don't know. You have all those people assigning. Can you imagine being like a Brian Cage, being there from not day one necessarily, but he was one of the first big names that they brought on, big at the time, anyways. Mm-hmm. And he came in, it was a big deal. And could you imagine they just bring in bigger name after bigger name after bigger name? And it's like, well, shit, where do I fit into this? Mm-hmm. I mean, Swole kind of made the same comments of that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately, if you're not a person who can come up with a couple weeks of TV that then appeals to Tony Khan, you're going to be on the outside looking in.
Yep.
But unfortunately, that's just the nature of it because they have so many other people there that they can put on TV. Mm-hmm. It's just, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. One last note from Barasso's story. Before we move on, he does mention in there that Brandy is not expected to join Cody in WWE.
That's interesting. I would imagine Brandy, after having, and this is pure speculation on my part, for all I know, she wants to go and be a mom, which is awesome if that's the case. But I would also imagine that given everything that she did behind the scenes in WWE, maybe that kind of like the community outreach stuff, maybe that stuff was maybe appealing to her in a way that WWE wouldn't be able to offer her. Maybe she wants to, I would imagine with her kind of experience, she could maybe set up like a consultancy firm or something,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Spitballing here, who knows?
We can move on to this. So following news late Monday, that WWE were trying to entice Stone Cold Steve Austin out of retirement for a match at WrestleMania 38.
What?
Dave Meltzer has reported that WWE is planning on another, quote, Austin-level surprise for this year's Mania. But who is it, Steve? I know who it is.
Wait, don't tell me. Who?
Cody!
Oh. No, this is different than that, though. This is separate than that.
You're trying to tell me that Cody's not an Austin-level superstar?
He is, but there's another one.
The Rock.
It's just probably Undertaker, man.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world, assuming he could do it, for Dwayne to show up after Roman beats Brock and just have a quick little thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
if that's the match they really want at WrestleMania 39, which everything seems to indicate that is, if Rock is going to make himself available for said match.
Yeah.
Just come out, confront Roman, maybe smack the title, and that's that.
Ooh.
Or titles. He's going to have both of them at that point.
What if he raises Roman's hand and then gives him a rock bottom? That'd make Roman, because Roman can't do shit about it for like a year.
I know.
He wouldn't be able to do anything. Imagine that your guy has both titles.
I know.
And The Rock comes out, rock bottoms him, and then he just splits.
I know. And Roman looks like a chump for the next 365 days.
Your top double champ guy looks like an asshole. Don't listen to me, Vince. That's a terrible idea.
Don't do that.
Or what if you did the opposite? What if Rock comes down, he raises Roman's hand, and then Roman, gives him a smile, and then Superman punches him, and that's how you leave.
See,
you have your top double champ
there
standing over the biggest box office attraction right now.
That's what you do. That's what you do.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, some people here in chat said Veer.
There you
go.
go.
Veer doesn't come to Raw, he comes to WrestleMania. At this point, don't you just wait on Veer till the Raw after Mania?
Yeah, pretty much.
If you have nothing, because Raw after Manias always suck these days. Mm-hmm. If nothing else, give us Veer.
Give us our one debut there of Veer. Give us Veer. Have Veer come the Raw after Mania.
You mentioned like the go home Raw before Mania, or even during Mania, they do another Veer promo, but they say Veer is coming this Monday. We might have to do a Raw watch along
if Veer comes,
just so we can watch Veer come. And then once he's come, all right, everybody, we're gonna raid Athena.
There you go.
The suites. We're gonna raid the suites.
Yes. Anyways, you want to talk about NXT Vengeance Day? It was a fine enough show.
Vengeance Day.
There's some good matches. Not a whole lot of surprises, really.
No real surprises. I guess you could consider the Creed brothers coming away with the Dusty Cup a bit of a surprise, given that they had expended some amount of effort on MSK, finding their shaman, talking about getting back to the big time. Mm-hmm. I would not be shocked if between that last segment with Riddle, or even the 6-way with the shaman, with Riddle and MSK against, was it Imperium? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't shock me if the decision at some point fairly recently was, you know what, we're going to have the Creeds win the Dusty Cup.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if MSK was originally slotted to be 2-time winners, and then that changed because the Creeds are coming along in their wrestling.
They are, and the crowd is starting to get behind them.
They are definitely getting behind them. And the Diamond Mine, if you don't want them to be booked into the ground, number one, Ivy needs to be on TV more, not just on. So, by the way, also, we got a sneak peek of Level Up. I believe it was this morning on WWE. Was it during the show last night? They had a trailer for it?
Yeah, they did.
Okay. Evidently, I was not paying attention.
Because they shot the debut, the first episode. I guess it would be before NXT last night.
Okay, so Level Up is replacing 205 Live.
Yes.
It's the NXT. I mean, it's been basically NXT branded for like months now anyways.
Yeah, virtually.
But yeah. So yeah, but bummer about 205, I guess. Like in the end, they could have had like the best cruiserweight division on the planet if they really wanted to make a big deal about it, like WCW did back in the day, like New Japan does now. Mm-hmm. But they just decided not to do that. They just sort of dropped that. But the early days of 205 are great.
Great. Absolutely great.
But yeah, the Creed brothers won the Dusty Cup in a really good match, and the crowd was super into it. Mm-hmm. Pete Dunne versus Tony D'Angelo in the weaponized cage match. Fun. Good deal of fun there. Yeah, it was a fun match. Pete Dunne ended up getting the win. They had Tony D'Angelo kick out of the bitter end,
but then we'll get to it later on. We talk about it. Grimes versus Carmelo was good. The main event was all right. That one kind of felt like we knew how that was going.
Well, it was literally. I think this was factual, wasn't it? Like the overrun before. No, it was 2 minutes before the hour. So it was 2 minutes before the overrun started.
Yeah.
That Santos actually got a move in on Braun Breaker.
Like the first.
They only really started like what?
Like 5 till
6 minutes before.
About 5 till.
The hour. Yeah.
It felt very much like a story in 3 parts. You had Braun dominating to begin, Santos getting a little bit of his stuff in the middle, and then Braun wins. after some overbooking.
Some overbooking stuff. Yeah. But otherwise, not a lot of surprises. Toxic Attraction retained their tag titles. There was some bits about the Dusty Classic women's side of things. I actually really like they're doing these separately, one after the other. They're doing the men's first, and then they're going to do the women's. And I actually kind of appreciate the stories that they've been telling, forming the teams, because there's not like real tag teams. Much,
fill out the bracket.
Yeah.
So rather than just pairing people off, they're actually trying to tell stories about why people are aligning and teaming together.
Yeah.
We can dive into it. Kicked off with Peter Dune versus Tony D'Angelo in the weaponized cage. As mentioned, fun match. Weapons all over the place. We saw crowbars and cricket bats and chairs. The chair they used.
Cricket.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that the cricket bat, he literally smashed over the back of Tony D'Angelo.
That was
awesome.
Going to broken too. And I was going to say the chair they used at first, the whole seat of it came off early on. So they were hitting the heck out of each other. There's Tony D'Angelo went through a table, but you mentioned the cricket bat. So Dunn gets that, steps on D'Angelo's fingers while he's reaching for a crowbar, smacks him with the bat, splits in two, hits a bitter end. Tony kicks out of it though. So Pete Dunne grabs the crowbar that Tony had. Tony hits him with a low blow, hits a fisherman neck breaker. Pete Dunne kicks out of that. And so Pete Dunne goes and grabs a crowbar that's kind of been lodged between the cage and the ring apron, gets up, whacks Tony with it.
Yeah.
And then hits a crowbar-assisted bitter end to get the win.
Yeah. Strong performance there from Tony D'Angelo. I wonder, so like they set up a little bit later, Pete Dunne going after Carmelo Hayes for the North American title. I'm hoping that this is sort of Pete Dunne. He's going to go through maybe the top guys, put them over, make them look good. And then maybe he'll follow Ciampa to Raw or SmackDown. Dude, why don't you put him on SmackDown with Ridge Holland and Sheamus?
All right.
Look, man, I'm just trying to get him over there. I'm just trying to say, hey, look, they're all from that region of the world.
He should show up and just smack Roman right in the face first show there. That's what he should do. Making a name for himself.
Bend those fingers.
That's one thing that Pete Dunne's been pretty good with is carrying on that story. Triple H told him, hey, go make a name for yourself. And that's what he's been doing more or less. So
maybe distancing himself from Triple H is the way to go these days, though.
That could be.
That's probably the smart move.
Could be. So after that, we got a video package. Cora Jade. She gets a call early in the morning from Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel says, time to get up. Got to be up at 5:30. We got to go train. So then we get an extended training montage at the Performance Center. And then at the end of which Raquel says, all right, we're doing it again tomorrow.
What was the main problem with this, Larson? What was the main issue
with this?
There was
no Draco Anthony in the gym.
No Draco. Come on, continuity,
it's 5:30. Draco's already been there for at least a half hour.
Yes.
He should have been leaving when they showed up. He should have been like, all right, I'm an hour and a half into my 3-hour workout. Something. Give us those details.
You got to have details. Look, man, we barely pay attention to your program. If we know these things, you should know these things too.
You got that right.
Bruce or whoever.
Heartbreak.
Heartbreak. After that, Mackenzie Mitchell talks the women's Dusty Cup. The finals of the men's tournament happens later in the show. We get a Diamond Mine promo and an MSK promo.
Just hyping up their match,
After that, we have Toxic Attraction versus Persia and Indy. And this was good stuff. It wasn't nearly as sort of overbooked as I figured it would be. I thought that maybe you'd get Dexter and you'd get Duke.
I thought
and we did get them, but a little bit later.
Yeah. So early on, Mandy is tossed from ringside. We go to commercial. We come back. Indy Hartwell is isolated by Toxic Attraction for a spell. She gets the hot tag to Persia. She goes on a run, hits this great-looking double Samoa drop on Toxic Attraction.
That was cool.
Gets a 2. So then JC sends Persia into the ring steps. Indy is going for a springboard elbow, but as she's about to do the springboard, JC trips her up. And then shortly thereafter, Toxic Attraction hit their finish to get the win.
After that, we had Amari Miller and Wendy Chu backstage. Wendy was asking Amari if she's got a partner for the Dusty Cup. Amari says she's already got somebody else and then leaves. And then Chu walks up to Dakota Kai, asks if she wants to be partners, and then God, this was so cringy and it was so long. Dakota Kai was acting like she was talking to somebody else, and then when he's like, "All right, we'll just think about it."
Yeah,
they need to get Dakota Kai out of this gimmick,
I know,
dude.
I know.
It's so bad.
It's not good.
She's too talented for that.
I
man.
know. So we get a brief little bit of Grayson Waller and Sangha arriving at the Performance Center, and they got some local police officers, new NXT signees to follow them in.
The Dusty Cup winners 2023.
Exactly. So we go to a bar, and Briggs and Jensen are there, and so Briggs,
this went from being my least favorite,
favorite
program to my favorite.
So Briggs is asking Jensen, "How'd your date go with Caden Carter?" And he's talking about how it went. He said Caden insisted on paying for herself, and that it was nice. And then he goes, "Oh yeah, Caden also said I like you, like you're my little brother."
Yeah.
And then Briggs like, "Hey, she thinks you're just friends." And Jensen's like, no. And then they ask the bartender there, "What do you think?" And so Jensen describes what happens. And then she says, "Well, sounds like, Jensen, you're going to have a friend for life."
Yeah.
And Jensen's got a bit distraught about it.
This was great. So Briggs was just upset the entire time because as soon as Jensen starts talking, he's like, "Oh, this is terrible. She paid for herself." These things have been effective in developing chemistry between these two guys. I sort of understand it a bit more now. It's still corny as fuck, but it's actually kind of entertaining. And I thought that the chemistry they brought the bartender over, who apparently Briggs, I don't know if there's the bartender is she like developmental as well?
I don't know, but it was obvious that they knew who she was.
Right, and she was like, "Yeah, my family owns this bar. I just come here every once in a while." So
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, is this like what's her face, Nikita Lyons?"
Yeah.
Maybe she is, given that she's like a singer dancer / wrestler. Maybe this person is bartender / wrestler.
Yeah, could be.
But yeah, he said, "Yeah, you've been friend zoned, my friend." So it was pretty funny. After that, we had LA Knight promo before he could actually say it. He's super over. He's the most dad looking guy, and the crowd is just loving every bit of him.
He's got the tucked in shirt and his jeans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look
at my dad jacket. Yeah, it was cool in 1983. So Waller and Sangha come out with these fake cops. Waller points the fake cops towards LA Knight, leads them to the ring. He throws to a video of Knight and Waller getting into a fight as evidence that Knight has violated the restraining order. Waller says, "Oh, I'm full of anxiety right now. The cops have seen the evidence. He broke the restraining order. Go arrest him." And Knight's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to stop the cops from doing their jobs, but I want to explain my side." He says I read the order. I got evidence of my own. I knew you were going to have a video. I got a video of my own. So it's a video showing his side of it, with Waller, of course, hitting him with that awesome rolling, leaping stunner of his. He says the order says Knight can't touch Waller, but Waller can't touch Knight. He says it's worthless. And Waller says, "Wait a second, in Australia, it's just one way. And so the cops leave. He complains and he turns around, and Knight just beats the shit out of him, and he challenges Waller to a match next week. Is this finally going to be a blow-off, or are we going to get even more?
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk at you.
Yeah, it's going to this
more matches.
Unless Waller cheats to win, and then LA Knight gets another match. It's entirely possible.
Vengeance Day scored. Was this on Sci-Fi? It was on Sci-Fi, wasn't it? 525,000. But then same in the demo. No, the demo was like 0.07. This is a demo comparable to USA numbers.
Oh, okay.
That probably would have been done decent on USA.
Yeah, it could.
It might have done like 650 or 700,
like a 0.17 or something, maybe. Then we're back in the locker room. Indy and Persia are talking about their match. Indy says it's my fault we lost, and Persia says, "Hey, Dusty Cup is coming up. They'll give us another opportunity to go after those tag titles." Dexter walks in. He and Indy, they leave, and then Duke Hudson walks in.
Yeah, and takes her hand, and they walk off.
They walk out together.
Yeah. After that, we had Tommaso Ciampa promo, where he just trash talks Dolph coming to NXT, and people who think that NXT is a minor leagues and don't mistake loyalty. for Fear, et cetera, et cetera. Next week, they're going to have a match.
They're going to have a match next week, yes. And then we had the North American title bout, Cameron Grimes versus Carmelo Hayes. Fun bout. We didn't think there was much chance of Cameron Grimes getting the win. It's exactly what happened. He didn't get the win. Carmelo Hayes successfully retained the title. And hit his top rope leg drop to get the W.
Yeah, it was cool. There was like an apron to floor cave-in onto Trick Williams, which would look pretty great.
Yeah, that was great.
After that, we had a little video package for Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai. They're going to be partners in the tag team in the Dusty Classic. Then we had the finals of the men's Dusty Classic, the Creed brothers versus MSK. As we said before, the Creed brothers ended up getting the win here. Didn't even need any distractions or anything from the Diamond Mine. This was pretty clean, man.
It was clean. It was pretty much totally clean. Yeah. So towards the finish, MSK sends the Creeds out of the ring. Nash Carter's going for a suicide dive on Julius. Julius catches him and does that kind of, I don't know how to describe it other than like a cartwheel slam. Like a rolling senton slam, but rather than going, like doing a frontward flip, he does a cartwheel.
Yeah.
And he dumps Carter back into the ring and hits like a really vicious looking sliding forearm to get the W.
Yeah.
That was stiff.
Yeah.
Stiff.
Yeah, they've grown on me, man. They've had these matches. I'm really hoping. So there was like, I think a report or a rumor Meltzer had or something like that. I don't know what it was. The idea that once things open up a bit more, I guess, which should be sooner than later, especially in Florida, NXT might be going on the house show circuit again.
Yeah.
Which would be amazing, like especially for guys like the Creed brothers who obviously have something there and they're quick at learning. That would help them so much.
Immensely.
So much.
We got another Nikita Lyons video package after that match. Not only is she a singer, a fighter, she's a dancer too.
She's a dancer as well.
And according to her, she was put on this planet to bring people together. She puts it. Next week, she's got her debut match.
Oh, there you go. I think she's had some 205 live matches.
She has.
Yeah. So cool for her. We'll see what she can do in the ring because I don't watch 205 Live. I'm not going to watch Level Up. After that, we had an Imperium promo where Eichner congratulates the Creeds.
Well, before that, even like Walter, like the ring announcer's announcing them, and he is really quick to say that his name is Gunther.
Well, the announcer said Gunther. And he made sure they pronounced it correctly. Gunther.
Yeah. And then everybody in the crowd, and even me from home, was just chanting Walter.
It was great. They need to continue to do that.
Yes.
That really needs to be the thing. Like this name change needs to be a bit of a swerve where the name Walter just follows him everywhere he goes.
Yes. Because he's Walter.
Because it's not going to stop. He is Walter. Walter. So anyways, the Eichner congratulates the Creeds at getting a tag title shot. He says, but that's all it is. It's a shot. Bartel says, to understand Imperium, you must be willing to endure suffering and anguish. Gunther says they've brought honor to this great sport.
Are we going to be together on this one or not? Walter.
Look, man, we could, his name is Gunther.
No, it's not.
Let me ask you something.
What?
Imagine for a moment, this man is standing in front of you.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think he would want?
Well, is this in the confines of NXT kayfabe or just like at the supermarket?
How about this? In kayfabe at the supermarket, at the kayfabe supermarket.
No, whatever. He could chop me, Walter. Say, hey, Walter, what's up?
I like the meat on my chest not looking like hamburger.
Man,
I'm gonna continue to call him Gunther.
Walter.
Because it's something he wants. I'm gonna respect the man because he respects the mat. Anyways, Gunther
Walter
says they have brought honor to this great sport, but he's setting his sight on championship gold. So tonight he's going to be watching the title match. He's interrupted by Solo Sikoa, who tells Gunther,
"It's Walter.
We all get it. I will give you an opportunity to correct it." He doesn't give a damn about that mat on the island, not Cody Island. You got to find the biggest and baddest dude and smack the shit out of his mouth, and that's how he's going to do. He said he's about to wipe this mat with the ring general and make him his bitch.
Yeah.
And then he just leaves.
Well, Eichner and Bartel step up to go after Solo, and Walter just holds him back.
He pulls them back, and then Solo, instead of Solo being like, "Oh, okay, cool, it's a mano-a-mano situation."
Yeah, he walks away. It was weird. It was a weird finish.
He walks away. I'm like, are you gonna fight him or
no?
no?
Throw hands or no? So next we had a Dolph interview.
I just realized this. Did Solo Sikoa have that burn mark on his face?
I didn't notice it.
I didn't notice it either. It was a gnarly burn mark.
Yeah, but that story's over.
We just saw him like last week, though. That was gnarly, man.
Yeah, story's over. Story's over, Steve.
It's the details, man. It's
yeah,
the details.
But it's over. Move on to the new details. That story's
Was
done.
the story ever over, though?
Well, not in that sense, no. So they had a Dolph interview next. He says, must be nice being champion. You get to stay in your lane. Then you showed up on Raw, probably on your own dime. You probably got a middle seat on the plane. You sat there ringside to watch my match. Interfere at the end. He says, Ciampa, you're the pulse of NXT, and next week I'm going to stop that pulse. Next week I kick down the door to your house.
Mm-hmm. Yep. After that, we had Trick and Mello backstage. Mello says Grimes is good, but what's good to someone who's great? And they walk up to Pete Dunne, who's smiling, and he's trying to articulate more and enunciate more. He congratulates Mello, says, you're North American champ for now. And then we had our main event. Santos Escobar versus, Braun Breaker.
Yeah, just the structure of this match seemed a bit formulaic to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It didn't quite. I didn't really feel like it really gelled, really. So eventually, Dolph comes out, hits Braun with a super kick. Santos covers. Braun kicks out. So Dolph is ringside, just having an absolute fit. He's beside himself. So Ciampa comes out. They start brawling. They brawl backstage. Santos hits Braun with a massive tornado DDT. Goes for a frog splash. Misses. Goes for a phantom driver. Braun escapes. Braun hits spear. Power slam to get the win.
Yeah.
It never really felt terribly competitive.
They could try a bit more. Like we all know going into this that Santos ain't winning it, but at least have him jump Braun from the start. Have Braun have to dig out of a hole to get there. Instead, it was just like he literally didn't get any of his shit in until like we were about to go to the overrun. So anyways, let's go ahead and answer some questions. I have a thread here on the Patreon. If y'all here in the live Twitch chat have a question, be sure to highlight it so we will hopefully catch it. Let's see here. First up from Alex Foster. If NXT had a gauntlet match, who would you want to win and who should have the longest time? He says he'd like to see Malik Blade in a match like that. I would say do a women's gauntlet match to determine the next number one contender for Mandy, if there isn't one already. And
she just beat,
Ivy Nile would start, and Ivy Nile would win.
All right. That's good. It's good. It's a good idea. Great idea. Fantastic idea.
Cool.
Wonderful idea.
Hey, there we go. Good cover. What about a men's gauntlet?
Have like Solo Sikoa, Tony D'Angelo, Walter, Pete Dunne, and Cameron Grimes. Number one contender to face Braun. Walter's in it, of course. Walter wins. And then defeats Braun Breaker. Then you got Walter, new NXT champion.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Gunther.
Walter.
Okay. Speaking of that man, Gunther gonna give it to you asks, or I guess Walter gonna give it to you, asks, do you think WWE really wants Cody Rhodes and will give him the money he really wants? If the rumors are to be believed, it seems like it. Yeah. I don't know why absolutely you would.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Everything seems to indicate thus far. That's the deal.
This is a good question. So
what?
Tonight's Dynamite seems stacked. You got Danielson versus Moriarty.
Could be great. Can't wait.
Got some
Sammy versus stuff, Darby for the TNT title.
Yeah. You got the Santana Ortiz versus Jericho and Hager. There's some good stuff tonight. Is AEW going to mention Cody?
Yeah, someone will. Just in passing. Maybe Dan Lambert will. If anybody, it'd probably be Dan Lambert. He'll probably say something like, "Me and the Men of the Year chased him out of AEW," or something like that.
I think you might be right. I would not be surprised if commentary wished him well.
Yeah, that's entirely possible.
I would think that would probably.
But
be
I
the
don't.
case.
I don't think it's going to be like I doubt it'd be a huge focus of anything. It'll be one.
I don't think it's going to be a huge focus. I think they're just probably going to, say well wishes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor of Planet Houston says if Triple H left WWE, he couldn't use that name, could he? Nope.
It'd be what is
said,
Paul Levesque doing in the Impact Zone?
Yeah, it'd be Paul Levesque, which would be weird. He could. Do you think he would kayfabe his name at all, like Hunter Levesque?
Maybe.
I could see it being Hunter Levesque because then people can call him Hunter.
What if I don't know what the nature of Double H is, or of Triple H is. Yeah, of WWE's copyright, but instead of Triple H, like the word triple and then the letter H. What if it's just HHH, 3 H's?
HHH.
Yeah, or Triple H.
Triple H. Yeah, him and Regal can get back together.
There you go.
Triple H. Let's see, or H. He should be H face. Moses opposes. Who do you see as the next North American champion?
I feel like Melo's going to have that belt for a while.
I think he has 2. My answer would have been, if it was like 2 months ago, it would have been Joe Gacy. But boy, they put Harlan on that guy, and he just sunk.
Yep.
He sunk. Let's see here. This is easy. Jimmy Thomas, with 205 Live being over, who would you say were the 4 pillars of 205 Live?
Oh, good question.
Cedric, Ali, probably Buddy Murphy, and Neville.
Yeah. Good.
Or Enzo. 4 Enzos.
Oh my gosh.
You saw that picture
Yeah,
of him,
he's
right?
enormous.
It's ridiculous.
Metal Nerves, could Triple H get the rights to the game from Motorhead, just call himself the game and say it's a reference to the song and not his WWE gimmick? No, because that's WWE probably licensed that song, or probably commissioned Motorhead to do that song specifically for him.
They probably trademarked the game too.
Yep.
Game Levesque. Let's see here. Okay.
Suplex Casey asks, if Cody gets a significant push and is treated like a real megastar, will this be the first real shot of the new wrestling war?
I kind of feel like NXT opposing Dynamite was like the first real shot of the wrestling war.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think this has been going on. I mean, let's not get it mixed up here. Like WWE's main programming gets double the numbers of Dynamite on every weekly basis. So I don't think WWE thinks of it that way. I think that Cody's a great. He's a good way to help pop their ratings, and then they'll see where to go from there. That's what they do. It's like, hey, let's bring this guy in.
Yep.
How many times have you heard Pritchard on his podcast? Yeah, we thought we'd bring him in.
Yeah, we'll bring him in with no plan of what to actually do with this individual.
Yeah, no, bringing him in is the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah, the extent of the plan was bringing him in.
Bringing him in. Let's bring him in. See what we can do. Oh, man. Great question here. Wild card, Luisa Reyes. What music does Cody come out to? That's going to be a big litmus test. That's going to be huge because we all pretty much know if Jericho comes back, it's the Walls of Jericho. But maybe it's not. Maybe
is there going to be smoke and mirrors for Cody?
I hope it's Kingdom.
That's one he has now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That should. I mean, if anything, if he's licensed that song, and the band is cool with WWE using it, I'm sure an arrangement can be made so long as WWE is willing to let him have it. If he makes it a point of contract negotiations. Entirely possible.
I guess it just sort of depends on it's like Cody's made a big. Who do they think is a bigger deal? Cody that left WWE or Cody who's in AEW? It's Cody who's in AEW. So if you can get all elements of that, then you do that. I would think.
You'd
Put
think
him in his
so.
Homelander gear, right?
You'd think they would do that, But they haven't even done that with some of their own NXT call-ups.
This is a good idea. John Thon says, come out to Too Many Limes because it's not being used right now.
That's a good point.
That would just be confusing.
It would be. Or like the Hardy Boys theme. That'd just confuse people. Here. Dun, 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 dun,
Cody
dun,
comes
dun,
out like
dun.
this.
No, but he doesn't. That's the thing. You hear that song, you're like, oh shit, Jeff Hardy's back, and then it's Cody. You know?
Maggie says, I was today years old when I learned Kingdom is the name of Cody's theme.
It was yesterday I learned that one of his WWE themes was called Smoke and Mirrors.
It's only smoke and mirrors. I've heard that song so many times on like one of the video games has that song on there endlessly.
Oh, like on the menu or something?
Whoa. I think 2K20 does. No, he's not in that game.
No, he wouldn't be in that game. That'd be completely random if that was on there.
The hell was I playing then? I swear I just heard that recently. But I don't know. Derek Davis, fantasy book Gable Stevenson's first year in WWE.
Joins Alpha Academy.
I'd say put him on level up first. Against
he's going. Once they think he's ready for TV, he's going straight to main. Straight to main.
I'm fantasy booking him here. Level up, and his first match is against Joaquin Wilde. He loses, and then he has a match against Idris Enofe. Loses that too, but he wins against Malik Blade.
All right.
Yeah, no, he's going straight to main. He's totally going.
Yeah, he's going straight to main.
Okay, Joe Hansen says WWE 12 would play that song in the menu constantly. That sounds completely true.
That sounds like it could be legit.
John Don says Steve was playing one of those black market wrestling games with all the wrestlers in it. Can I get one of those? I want one of those. Yeah, Downstate.
Yeah.
That's the name of the band. They do the Mrs. theme song.
Yes. Oh, so there's already a relationship. Shouldn't be that big of an issue.
Yeah, you'd think they'd like money too. Anyways. So here we go. That's going to do it for us. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back tonight for our AEW recap. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.